Welcome to Decades of Horror, the classic era.
The only person who was ever kind to me was a woman. She's dead now.
This is episode 142, recorded January 5th, 2023.
Gruesome Magazine.
Oh, Dirk has the eyes and everything down on that.
Yeah.
The glasses make them bigger.
Magnification.
So,
Well,
my name
Jeff,
is Jeff Mohr. And on this podcast, we cover the good, the bad, and maybe even the ugly horror films released since the beginning of time through 1969. In each episode, we'll discuss the monster, spirit, psychos, and villains that have haunted movie-going audiences since the dawn of film history. Decades of Horror, the classic era, is partnering with Play Now Media, and three of their channels, the Classic Sci-Fi Movie Channel, the Classic Horror Movie Channel, and the Wicked Horror TV channel, carry our episodes. Hey, it's cool. And it's a nice streaming service. You can watch a certain amount of stuff for free with ads, kind of like Tubi, or you can subscribe, get rid of the ads, and get some premium content as well. I made an announcement on an earlier episode about other stuff going on, but that's being delayed a little bit. But
there's a dog show on Saturday.
Yes, there is stuff coming. Well, they've got a bunch of channels coming up, and 70s and 80s will also be on their platform as well, sometime in the near future.
Because they have some good 70s and 80s stuff on there.
They do.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes I can't think of what to watch, and I just pull. It's a great time, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It is a great
pull
time.
up one of their channels and just go, oh, that looks crazy as
F.
Crazy AF, as the young kids
He was
say.
actually going to say F.
Yeah, I was going to switch it to AF and realized I already said A. Anyway.
Oh my God. I stayed up for this.
Yes,
Yep.
you did. With me this week are my incredible co-ghosts. Whitney Chiasso is still on her trip, and we are looking forward to hearing about it when she comes back. But Chad Hunt is here, co-host of Decades of Horror, the all of them, film producer, director with Wreak Havoc Productions, and a comic book artist and writer. Chad, it is so good to see you. I'm so glad you're here.
Are you?
I am.
I am.
Let's ask that again at the end of the show.
Okay.
You see something in my teeth?
No, it looks good.
Also with us is Daphne, who is awesome, stupendous, likable as hell, and still has her Christmas stuff up. I love it.
It's been kind of I actually considered doing a quick cleanup back here, but it's been a little too busy adding it to stuff to do this weekend.
No, I tell my wife every year, why don't we just leave that up? You know,
Just leave it. It's beautiful.
Yeah, just leave it up.
I'll dust it. So also with us tonight is guest hosts we've had on before for a Tango, Attack of the Mushroom People, is Dirk Rogers. How you doing, Dirk?
I'm good. Very good. Really happy to be back. So good to see you guys all again.
So how do you describe your job title, Dirk?
I run the casting department at KMB, so I do a lot of the gags and things. When people get like their arms and legs cut off, I'll build the gag itself before I hand it off to someone that's like the painter or the finisher. But yeah, I also do creature suit work for the shop. Most recently played Krampus for the Santa Clauses Disney Plus show, which was a lot of fun.
Awesome.
It was really
Yeah.
cool. Mr. Howard Berger did that makeup. But yeah, that's just a basic effects nerd shop.
Yeah, at KMB
Effects. Yeah, if I didn't
Effects
mention
in
that,
LA.
Yep. beautiful.
All right.
You worked on the man thing.
I did. Yeah.
Thing for Werewolf by Night. Disney.
Yeah, we did.
Oh,
We did.
Yeah.
We did. We built a full walk around suit for Carrie Jones, who's this KMB supervisor, and also does a lot of suit work as well. In the end, I believe they ended up CGing most of it, and where the hand comes through the bush is pretty much the only actual physical thing that ended up on the set. But we built a fully articulated walk around, eyes, everything. I've seen some video footage that got leaked online of us doing tests in the shop, and yeah, it's
looks fantastic.
It was
gorgeous.
It really
Yeah.
did. Yeah. The guy Mikey Rotella, who was the main sculptor of it, it was just an old hardcore fan of Man-Thing and and all that era, that early era. And so he really tried to stay true to the comics. And he did
a great job. It looked awesome.
Thank you. That's it takes a group. There's about 40 of us that worked on that at least. So just another cog in the wheel.
Yeah.
All right. So what we usually do here is start out with some basic details about the film we're covering, do taglines, first impressions, and then kind of take off talking about whatever interests us. Our topic this week.
I like Furbies.
You what?
You said we could talk about anything we wanted to talk about. I like Furbies.
Yeah.
Hopefully having something to do with the movie. So this one's a little off, slightly off the horror track, but not, in my opinion. Stranger on the Third Floor from 1940, directed by Boris Inkster, written by Frank Pardos, and Nathaniel West did a rewrite. Cast includes Peter Lorre, John McGuire, Margaret Talashe, Charles Waldron, and Elisha Cook Jr.
Yay!
Production company is RKO Radio Pictures, filmed at RKO Studios in Hollywood. Filming was completed on July 3rd, 1940, and the release date was August 16th, 1940. The budget was listed at an estimated $171,200. And box office, I'm going to talk about this in a minute, but there's more information to it. 1.1 million I got from Ultimate Movie Ranking. And the synopsis: an aspiring reporter is the key witness at the murder trial of a young man accused of cutting a cafe owner's throat and is soon accused of a similar crime himself. And there's Elisha Cook Jr.
Yay!
In the jail, in the dream.
There he is.
I love me some Elisha Cook Jr.
I do too.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, let's get into first impressions. I'm going to ask you to go first, Chad. What are your impressions of Stranger on the Third Floor?
The impressions felt like size 12 patent leather just digging into the base of my spine. That was the first impression.
Friday night.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's like a Friday night. Yeah.
Just another Friday night.
Yeah. Good times.
Well, all kidding aside, I hated this film. No, I'm just kidding.
You are not. I can tell.
Just hook, line, and sinker every time.
Well, having not ever seen this film before, I went into it not really knowing. I think you had said something about it was more of a noir film, and it was I almost want to say it was a cute little 1 hour film, with all the murdering and throat slashing. But
a lot of cuteness.
A lot of cuteness going on, especially Peter Lorre and his teeth.
Oh yeah,
that was just. I was just got goose pimples. But it was like It was short. It was like an hour and a few minutes, and Peter Lorre was creepy. I guess that's the horror part of it, is it had Peter Lorre in it. But I also liked the other two main actors, the the reporter and his fiance. They both did really good jobs too. I don't know what to say about it being I'm not horror adjacent type film, besides having Peter Lorre, but it was still a film. I really enjoyed watching it. I mean, it was a cool little murder mystery, even though you knew Peter Lorre did it because it had Peter Lorre in it.
Yeah, kind of.
Well said.
Yeah. So, but I enjoyed watching it. It was I had a good time. It was fun to watch, and I like the way the reporter guy was having this internal dialogue with himself the whole time, saying, "Well, what if this? What if that?" You know, but it was all internalized. I thought that was a cool touch. I like that a lot. But yeah, overall, I really liked it.
All right, good. I appreciate that. Daphne, how about you? What did you think of Stranger on the Third Floor?
I really liked it. I hadn't seen it before. Peter Lorre was great. I love the Bruce Campbell lookalike newspaper guy, and I thought the actor who played his love interest, she was great. I liked it made me think about the expressionist movies that we've looked at, and I really liked the feel that it felt really kind of oppressive, and I genuinely didn't know if his neighbor was alive or dead for a while. I was kind of like, ooh, what's going to happen? What's going, and I liked that. And I liked the pace because it was really quick. It did it's funny because right now I don't know if you guys heard in the news, but there was a murder in Eastern Washington at a university, and they have a suspect in. So people are talking about stuff like that, just like crazy. And so it was kind of made me think a lot about that and this movie together, about how, people talk about crime and make theories and get into it and make decisions based on certain things or without. And so that was kind of interesting to remind me that a lot of the stuff that they kind of allude to in this movie, still going on, will always go on, because essentially it's kind of basic stuff, but about, if you feel guilty or what people think of you and if that defines who you are and stuff. Anyway, it sounds like I'm a movie student or something. Sorry. I'm also a little revved up on a long work week. Right, I know, I'm sorry. Yeah. I don't mean it to sound like that. But yeah, I really liked it.
I like it when you talk like that. Thanks, Daphne. Dirk, what about you? So I need to preface this a little bit, because quite a while ago, Dirk, I think when we did Hitchhiker, which was like a year and a half ago, we called it horror adjacent noir, and he asked what other films would be considered that, and I don't believe we gave a satisfactory answer, because it's, to me, they've all got, most film noir has a real dark underbelly to it. But when I picked this movie, I thought of Dirk. And so I thought, hey, maybe you'd want to check this out if you hadn't seen it before. So
I hadn't even heard of it, to be honest, until you called me. So about 4 days ago would be the first time I saw it. When it first started, I was, I was really interested in where the story was going and the characters' development. When the second act hit, which was mostly the internal dialogue, at first it reminded me of Blade Runner, with where they added the internal dialogue, and it didn't seem to really be needed. But as it went on, it kind of sucked me back in. But when the third act starts, which I would say is that 7-minute nightmare sequence, from then on, this movie is great. Peter Lorre, he's kind of like a bookend character in a way, but that third act when he comes in and he just kind of lets loose, oh God, he's so awesome. I see what you mean. It's that the nightmare sequence, without getting too much into it, definitely was the most horrific element to me. Or I guess maybe more the horror adjacent noir. I think that was the best example that I've seen, besides a Val Lewton film. And other than that, yeah, I think it was really I think Peter Lorre is without a doubt the standout in it. As menacing as he is, he's kind of restrained. He just does a lot of like twitching and things like that. You know, the guy walks by, he goes to lift his hat and he just kind of stops and stares. And I just love all those subtleties. I mean, he was always such a wonderful method actor. And so I wonder how much of that is just him figuring it out on the spot. But for me, the third act of this film, beginning with the nightmare sequence all the way to the end, is more horror to me than it is noir. Well, okay, I'll say that right there because I was about to dive into the ending there, so never mind.
No,
I liked it. I liked it.
I like Furbies.
All right. Well, this is
Furbies are nice.
They are.
They're soft.
I love this film for like I don't know, a few reasons. But number one is it's considered by a lot of people to be the first film noir, or the first noir film that fits into that category. And people that follow this stuff know that film noir was a thing that was made up after the fact to describe a style that took place in the 40s and the 50s. So there wasn't people in the 40s going, hey, let's make another film noir, but they have some general characteristics. So the things that I love about this one are the cinematography.
Oh yeah.
The Peter Lorre, of course, and the dream sequence. Those are three things that just hooked me on this movie. And he's right. It's maybe the last third of the film where there's like that 7-minute dream sequence. Then there's a 7-minute, I think that walk that Lorre takes with Jane is about 7 minutes, and it is just creepy as all get out. So that's what I love about this, and I've been a fan. We've done several of Nicholas Musuraca's films, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I'm not going to say too much more because I know I'm going to gush later on. But now,
from where?
It's time
from his Furby.
Taglines.
Just like to know those things.
Taglines with Chad.
Perfect.
Only this time, it's going to be taglines with Dirk.
Dun, dun, dun.
I should have put a picture up of you and your Krampus thing for that.
Yeah. Oh, like a little thing sticking out of my head.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, first of all, this isn't easy in the presence of the original tagline, so I will do my best. Taglines. Trailing a tiptoe killer.
I didn't see any tiptoeing.
I didn't either.
Maybe creeping.
I didn't see a lot of trailing either.
I'm not going to say anything.
Okay. Second tagline. Murder in a nightmare that comes true to haunt an innocent man. Mystery thriller to baffle you.
Now you don't have to watch the movie.
We're baffled at all.
She loves a man who almost dreams himself into the electric chair.
Compelling.
It happens. I think that's a Wes Craven movie, isn't
it? I could have been Shocker, yes.
Or Maya Doris.
And the final tagline. He dreamed a crime, and the crime came true.
Dun dun dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Oh, okay.
Did that happen? I don't know.
Nice job, Dirk.
Nicely
Oh.
done, Dirk.
Mhm.
That
Yeah.
Those
true
were
praise.
certainly.
I thank you.
We definitely wanted to key on the dream / nightmare concept in those. That's something we see going
Yeah.
on. So that's been Taglines with Chad, as played by Dirk.
Dun, dun, dun.
It was a lot better looking.
Ooh, nice.
There's that. There's that.
That's my homage to Roger Rabbit. Ha, I'm a tune too.
That's great.
That's great. All right. First some posters, because I love posters, and I love particular noir posters. So that's kind of I think that's the standard RKO one. Nothing too extraordinary about it, but I like it. And here's where all the taglines come from.
Oh.
That's supposed to be Lorre. Who is that supposed to be?
I don't know who that is on the bottom.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't look like anybody in the movie, except maybe the guy who was the guy that talked to
The
Michael.
Space Filler Jones. His name
Martin?
is Space Filler Jones.
Or maybe that's the DA. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah.
But
judge.
black and
I'm not
white.
sure.
Now here's where we get really creative.
What
We
the?
give
Whoa! Wow.
Peter Lorre a green face. I assume that's Peter Lorre.
I would think so.
And it appears that he's using a gun,
Yeah.
which I don't think anyway. Spanish or
Backwards.
Mexican. And this one, and there they called it the mystery on the third floor.
Cool.
In the top one, Peter Lorre is almost smoldering. It's not usually portrayed like that.
Smolderingly
He's a little
handsome.
sexy, yeah.
I mean,
It's kind of
I've
got the
not
bedroom
seen that.
eyes instead of just the bulging eyes.
It's the bulging eyes.
I
And
know I
then
dropped
lastly-
my underwear on the floor somewhere around here.
Well, and I don't think this is only Spanish. It's not Italian yet, but the woman laying in the white negligee, as Chad schooled me on last time. It's not in the movie.
Nope.
No.
Mm-mm.
You want to sell
Really?
this picture? Or don't you?
Yes.
Negligee and a gun.
The Italian, which is strangely actually kind of true, but I like it.
Yeah. I really like the dripping blood. I mean, I don't remember that being in there at all, but I like it.
Is the key? Is that supposed to represent the neighbor's door, or
I don't know. It's again something that didn't happen, I guess. That's Peter Lorre breaking into the neighbor's room that was unlocked, apparently.
yeah?
With the key.
He needed to keep the door unlocked so that he could open it quickly and catch people.
Yes. Venus flytrap.
So, all right. So I mentioned Boris Inkster. This is like he only directed like 3 films, and this was the first film he directed, which is, I think, it's pretty impressive. But Nicholas Musuraca, shown in the upper right there, at work with a camera. These are the films that we've done that he was a cinematographer for: Cat People, The Seventh Victim, and The Hitchhiker. But he also did a couple of other ones from, he worked at RKO. So he did tons of noir, and he did, so with Cat People, Seventh Victim, The Ghost Ship, The Curse of the Cat People, and Bedlam, which are all Luton films at RKO in the 40s. Bedlam starred Boris Karloff. Back to Baton, the John Wayne war flick in 1945. And then these are pretty well-known film noirs: The Spiral Staircase in 46, Deadline at Dawn, The Locket. Out of the Past is a really well-known noir film with that stars Robert Mitchum and Kirk Douglas. Clash by Night and The Blue Gardenia, I believe those are both Fritz Lang movies. And then The Hitchhiker. So he did a lot of this stuff, but this one is impressive because it really is. It got the critics didn't like it mostly because of the dream sequence. I think they thought they just didn't quite get it. It was too out of the ordinary for what they were used to at the time. But any comments about? I mean, we'll throw some of these up, but these are that top picture is on set at Out of the Past with, I think, we Jacques Tourneur. Is that Mitchum on the side? I'm not sure if I'm getting that wrong. Yeah. So, and then the two shots there are from the dream, or well, no, the middle shot's from the dream. This is the cell he's kept in with this strange light and dark pattern.
Yeah, we couldn't afford an actual cell, so we'll do it. We'll sell the bars with light. That nightmare sequence is without a doubt the strongest scene in the entire film. It's just, God, it's flawless. You know,
I feel like all the cinematography is just really amazing. Even like it gets really crazy in the nightmare scene, but even like leading up to it to kind of build, I felt like it really was building with his kind of freaking out, like even with just the scenes of Jane talking on the phone to him and just in and out of the courthouse. It was just beautiful. It was really, I mean, those are two really gorgeous examples right there, but just throughout it, I thought he did such a good job.
Yeah. And then the bottom picture is when Michael catches the stranger, Peter Lorre, sneaking out of I think he ducked when he looks at him. I think he was ducking into the common bathroom.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that when his hand came out?
Yeah.
He looked around like, I wouldn't go in there for another 20 or 30 minutes.
So, but I love that. I mean, every shot in this film, and there's actually a point, and I didn't, shoot, I was writing it down, but I was watching it last night, and there was a point where it was like, from that point on, everything got darker and more shadowy. And I think it might have been when Elisha Cook's Jr.'s character was found guilty and sentenced to death. I think from that point on, I think it just got darker and more shadowy all the time. There was always shots.
If this is considered the first noir, you can see why. I mean, this is it made me feel like it's a movie that didn't have the budget to do a lot of different set pieces and stuff like that, so they had to sort of improvise with shadows and light to kind of make it look better than it actually was, or than what they could afford anyway. And I think it, like, especially the nightmare sequence, which we'll go into, I guess. It was the light and dark is just an amazing. It's amazing to look at, and as a comic book inker, you have the job to use black and white to give things feelings of depth and 3D type. And then this film did a great job of that.
Agreed. Absolutely.
Yeah, and that bottom, so the middle picture is in the dream sequence. The bottom picture is not. So just the shadows of the stairs and the people. It's just I just love it.
I feel like they were able to have like the really stylized sequences, like in the dream sequence, but then they have kind of like just your regular kind of grayed out, just city images, like in the diner, in the hallway, or in the courthouse. and even just, I feel like I don't know a lot about film noir, but I know they talk a lot about angles and film angles and stuff like that. And in noir, I definitely saw that in here. And I don't know if that's something that was kind of an expressionism kind of thing coming in. But yeah, I liked it in its craziness, and I also liked it in just the regular scenes too.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah,
there was no like really light time except for like at the end when they were at the little diner again, or their little sandwich
yeah.
place. Before and after, then it was just kind of a little bit there was more people, and it was a little bit livelier, and that was something that you don't really pick up on until you start kind of looking at it, and it had it and stuff. And I liked that they got that feel across with the lighting and the and stuff.
Yeah, so here's some more of that.
Yeah.
The top picture was her, like, I think she had just read in the paper or something, and there's this just odd. It's really expressionistic too. A big chunk of this movie is expressionistic, and it's shot from this super, upward angle of the the skyscrapers that are obviously a background or a mat or something, but still just feel. And then the courtroom with all
and
those,
she's just like scream, and it's like her body is so huge up against, in style with the size of the buildings, and it's just crazy. It totally it made that dream sequence so dream sequencey.
Yeah, very much.
And then the center shot's the courtroom with all, God, it's just amazing. I mean, again, from the dream, and same with the bottom shot, and the way they, had the sort of the wire cage with him behind it, and the two of them sitting to pose with the guard. Right, I don't know. The shot construction was great.
Beautiful.
Another scene I really liked was when there was a shot of the jury, and they were all kind of looking away, heads down, like not listening to him. Like they were asleep. Yeah, they just weren't listening to him, or they were asleep and not even paying attention. I thought that was a really cool scene too.
Agreed.
So you can see this same style really all through, like Cat People and The Seventh Victim. I know I put up shots for those. I actually used shots from this when we did The Hitchhiker, because that was a different, it's out in the desert. There's not a lot of, wasn't near as much light and dark, except for when he was riding in the back of the car. But this is pretty impressive for 1940, I think, in terms of that use of shadow and light.
It just has so much style to it.
It does.
When I wanted to bring this up too, so I talked about the box office, and there's a site that I use called ultimatemovieranking.com, and in IMDb there was a trivia item that said that RKO had lost $56,000 on this film. So I thought, well, the budget was 171. That means the box office was like, what, 114 or something, 115,000. And Ultimate Movie Ranking said 1.1 million. So I shot the guy an email and said, hey, notice these two things, we give your website credit and stuff, and I wanted to know if you could tell me what the difference is. Well, he said they had a box office rental number for this at 382,000, which they thought in their estimate would mean the box office gross would be about $1 million. Now, what they do with a lot of these films is like they actually do research and stuff. And it said the RKO ledger files do not actually list this movie. In cases like that, we use the Harrison reports to help get a box office rental number. Our database has thousands of the Harrison reports adjectives to estimate a box office number. In this case, the 1940 Harrison report lists Stranger on the Third Floor as fair to poor. So we looked at all the movies that earned a fair to poor rating, that we had that had known numbers from 39 to 1942 and see what those grosses equaled. So that's how they come up with the rental number. Is that perfect? No, it's not perfect, but it's
what is
it's the best guess, and we think that these are fairly decent. He also recommends a book called The RKO Story, which I think I'm going to have to get because they did so much film noir in the 40s, plus Citizen Kane. You know, they had Citizen Kane followed by the Val Lewton stuff, and then all this really diving into film noir. In that book, they called Stranger on the Third Floor as one of the better B movies of that year. So he says, putting all those facts together, I feel good about our estimated guess. So, okay. Discrepancies. We always get discrepancies on box office. That's hard to calculate. All right, enough of that. So our leads, we have John McGuire plays Michael Ward, and Margaret Talashe plays Jane.
Careful.
I know. I think I heard
it's a family
Eddie
program.
Mohr say Talashe. I'm not sure, but that I thought that shot. There's like when he's like out in the hallway thinking to check on stuff, and all of a sudden he runs back in his room and goes to listen at the wall. That just seemed like it's like, here, what I want you to do is make this pose. That's what it felt like to me.
Yeah.
And he like runs into the room and goes like that. Because it was so fast. It just like zoom. He's there. He's positioned like that. Anyway, listening at the wall, the thin walls of the apartment building.
Wouldn't you say, though, that a lot of those exaggerated positions are kind of indicative of German expressionism, and which film noir borrows so heavily from? So
that's what I would guess.
Yeah, I would think that anything that's like exaggerated like that was purely done, you know.
Oh, it's great.
Done on purpose. I think it's great, but it's very theatrical.
Yeah.
I'm just for a shorthand, I'm in a Facebook group called Classic Film Noir 1940 to 1958, and they have a listing of 18 things that are characteristic of film noir. So just out of the ones in this one, there's a man of relative integrity investigating something, and you have a criminal. Femme fatale, there's no femme fatale here, but there is another common thing is, you know, the good woman, the love of the good woman that helps out the protagonist. An everyman, a normal person caught up in events. Chad's doing his own expressionism. I think it's like
it's very German. It's Bruce Campbell.
Odd angles.
I told you.
Yeah, let's see. European emigre director. I mean, Boris Inkster, I forget where he was from, but he was from Europe.
He had originally worked with Eisenstein, the Russian director, who did Battleship Potemkin. So I know he learned a lot of his technique from him.
It's Eisenstein.
Sorry.
Use of lighting, angles, and composition, you know. And I never have really got this word before, but chiaroscuro, high contrast, long shadows, asymmetrical, unbalanced composition. Let's see, mirrors, extreme high and low angles for cameras, flashbacks and voiceovers.
Okay,
we get
both
of those, right?
Definitely.
Complex plot, urban location, and that's about it. This says downbeat ending, but it's, you know, frankly, when the Hays Code took over, and the office was doing everything, they had to have, you could not have a bad guy come out ahead. So I guess you could have an unhappy ending, but you couldn't have the bad guy win. So you always knew that was going to happen some way. Anyway, those are just general surface level ideas of what kind of stuff goes into film noir, and there's a lot of that stuff in here.
Do you consider this a film noir, or do you consider this more of a proto noir? To me, like Daphne, I'm very limited in my film noir experience, but I would consider Maltese Falcon the first true film noir complete.
And a lot of people, that's the biggest. Discussion.
Yeah, I know. What do you think? Do you consider this the first, or do you think it's I mean, think, obviously it has a lot of elements, but
yeah, I don't know. It doesn't have that. It doesn't have the femme fatale is probably the biggest.
But they do have
point of this. But I think between the cinematography and the dream sequence and Peter Lorre and this guy's, I think it is. I think it is. I mean, I'm not an expert either. I'm just a fan that watches as many as I can. But
yeah, but you're a fan who dives deeper than anybody I know, so your word carries weight for sure. They don't have a femme fatale in it, but one thing I did notice that I thought was a little unusual is that the protagonist isn't in the final the climax. It's the strong female, and she kind of steps up, and it's not that she's a femme fatale, but she has that same strength as a femme fatale does. So
it's like the important role, like an important role in the.
She's stronger. I mean, this list that I've found, I kind of disagree with it, but it says a bland but good woman, and I don't totally agree with that. I would say it's the you're bland because you're good, I guess. Does that make you not interesting? But I don't consider her to be bland. She's very strong. Look at the way she who is it that she shuts down?
She shut down a lot of people. Starting.
Well,
with,
even her fiance, when she gets her up the room, there's a couple times where he's trying to put the moves on her, and she just turns her head away, and she's smiling. It's like, geez, you'd actually be happy about that rejection.
Right.
You know?
Right. But she doesn't come off as a prude or anything too.
Right.
Like when I was watching this, I, like I said, don't have, much knowledge to fall back on about this, but I was like, I wasn't expecting this kind of character, towards the end, especially just kind of, she takes over and so I was kind of like, and then when I did a little bit of research, I read what you had said about they have a woman that kind of helps working out the problem or whatever, but she really just basically took over, like Dirk said, she was in there, and she was this really strong, important character in the story. And they even kind of allude to it by Laurie saying, well, they wouldn't send a woman, And I'm thinking, no, they didn't, but she's here and she's taking care of business, so it's like, so they kind of allude to that too, in it. So I thought that was interesting. And I was wondering how it was in other film noirs, because the femme fatale is, famous, but I wasn't as familiar with
sometimes
other
they're
women
just
in there.
Sometimes they're just somebody that stands by them in a time of trial, and then there's other ones where they're contributing to the solution, or maybe even driving, to help find a solution to help the lead get out of his predicament.
She certainly had both those characteristics.
She's great. Actually, let's throw some of these up here. Well, let's do the instigator of the problem here. That guy is awesome.
This is a respectable place.
Oh man,
I've lived here for 14 years.
I know. Those two.
Not coffee before bed.
Oh,
milk.
You want some more milk?
Yeah. Should have listened.
That is Charles Halton, and he's just like, he's made for characters like this. He's the did you recognize him, Daphne? I'm gonna put you on the spot
You
here.
know what, I did not, but I mean, I recognized his face. I know I've seen him in other stuff, but I couldn't tell you what was he in? I'm dying to know.
the most common one for me is he was the bank examiner in It's a Wonderful Life.
And It's a Wonderful Life. Yes,
Yeah.
that's right. As soon as you said bank examiner, it came rushing back to me. Yes.
And then at the end, he smiles and puts some money in the box.
Yeah, you're right. Wow.
But yeah,
what a guy.
boy, is he oh, and then when they catch her in the room and she's got her hose off because they were they were wet. Look, her legs.
Her legs.
Look at her
She
legs.
has legs. A real live girl with legs.
I knew there was a girl in here.
I saw it through my peephole. I knew she was in here. Oh man, what a guy.
And then the landlady, Mrs. Kane, is Ethel Griffiths. And
From the
she's
Birds.
recognizable to me. But,
Yeah.
What's that?
From the Birds. She was in the
Oh,
Birds in the beginning in the bird shop. It was like learning about the birds.
Oh, was that her?
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Wow, that's over 20 years later.
Mhm. I'm sure she's been in other things, but I remember
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Well, let's look at Mr. Lorre.
There he is. Gosh.
There
You know,
he is.
Look
I
at
normally I wouldn't
good,
have put
so
these two
good.
pictures together, but he actually has like the same facial expression
Yeah.
in both of these situations.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the heck?
Well,
Oh,
it's,
and when
it's
he-
the same scene too. Sorry.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's just
you know
one.
what?
He's
You're
working
right.
up a
He's waiting
sweat,
at the
yeah.
bottom of the stairs
Mhm.
while she's up at the door, and he's figuring out what's going on. Yeah.
Mhm.
And that bottom.
Mhm.
Why are you afraid?
Ah, yes, yes. Why are you for? That's so good. And when he's working, when she first kind of puts it together, when he asks for the meat, and then he's out there with the dog, I was like, oh, it was just like,
Yeah.
but it was also like, oh God, he's the killer, but you see this side of him that isn't what
Sympathetic.
you want to see. A sympathetic, yeah.
Yeah.
And I loved that. I really liked that.
I
When the
did
guy
too.
walks in and asks for 2 raw hamburgers, you're wondering,
Yeah.
Off camera too. Off camera.
yeah,
Because she's been
Yeah.
looking for him that whole
Right.
time, and then you hear his voice, and the audience immediately is like,
That's
and then
him.
and
and
I
then the
like
shop
him
character's like,
raw.
oh, Tartar style.
Yeah, doesn't blink. Just
I know. So I was okay.
I was more worried. I was going 2 hamburger patties for 10
20 cents or
or 20
Yeah,
cents.
oh, well,
Whatever,
yeah.
yeah.
What?
Wow.
Well, he was, what was it? Joe Briggs was bringing 30 cents for Michael to pay him back for the meal he paid for. So anyway.
That's
Oh,
right.
that's
That's
right.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Or
But
for the
Dirk,
coffee.
I didn't put it together. The fact that you realize Laurie's there by just his voice.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, he's right
And
there.
then I love that scene's really neat to me for a few reasons. One is you've been with her the whole time and you're like waiting for him to show up and finally when she gives up and then you hear his voice, you're like, oh, and then it cuts to him. But then instead of it being menacing, they humanize him instead. They take him out and make him a sympathetic character right before and the way she just walks out and just walks straight up to him like, oh my God, it's really him. Where he stops and goes, why are you looking at me?
I love that. Oh,
He has no inner filter at all, does he?
No.
oh, that was such a good scene. I just really, really liked the scenes. That scene with the dog and him like talking, like, why are you looking at me? He was really suspicious. You could see that he was concerned you could see his paranoia, and it just so
That whole
good.
interaction between those two was my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah.
It just,
Absolutely.
So good.
Yeah.
it was
very
just
much.
great. And his death scene was just so. That's one of the greatest death scenes ever.
Mhm.
I did it.
I wish they had
Yeah.
ended the movie right there. I like
yeah.
that darker ending. It was just,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and I
Yeah.
won't be back.
Right.
You know, yeah.
He's like, he's smiling like I beat you. You know? It's like,
Well, I really got the feeling that his character was touched, shall we say?
Mhm.
Yeah.
He had some mental issues,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
but it just it was such a nuanced performance because you had sympathy for him, and even though he, yes, I killed him, he was going to tell on me.
Right.
But it's the way he says it is almost childlike. It's just and it's wonderful.
And I feel like the line that you did where he's talking about basically being put in an institution in a straitjacket and stuff. It was like, yeah, he doesn't want to go back, and I can understand why he doesn't want to go back. It's like it's very clear that he is scared and he will do anything to not go back there.
He was more afraid of going back than he was of dying.
Right.
So
or killing or whatever. Yeah.
He was amoral in that, but it was really a wonderful, beautiful performance.
Yeah.
Even though it's only kind of bookend at the beginning and the end,
you're right. It's so short.
Yeah.
He's so good.
Absolutely.
Yeah. A couple shots of them with her when they're like at the counter and then outside.
I also like how it took a while for her to recognize him. Like she was just looking straight ahead or looking at the guy behind the counter. And then she kind of turns and then sees him. Yeah.
But you're right. It's great how they do that reveal because you hear the door shut behind her.
Yeah.
And it's not overemphasized. You just are thinking, uh-oh, who's that? I mean, you pick up on it, Anyway. Yeah. Oh, that man. He said he was going to report me. I had to kill him.
He wasn't being sneaky. He was totally he was just telling her, and
Well, I think that's like to what Dirk brought out. He was more of a there was no malicious intent. I don't think he was more like a child.
Very childlike,
impetuous child.
Even at the end when she says, "Well, I live here," and he goes, "Oh," and you can see he stops and contemplates their conversation, and he kind of like smiles, and he's like, I had it was nice, and that's when then she's like, "Don't go." But it's a masterful performance.
Yeah, she didn't want to lose him.
Right.
They had a hard time finding him. Although, how would you like to be the actor that the other person in the movie walks around to all these different people looking for you and describes you as ugly little man with bulging eyes?
Yeah. I wrote it down. Scarf. Yeah. Big bulgy eyes, long white scarf, thick lips. Just over and over and over again.
Poor Peter.
I wonder if they went to him and asked him if it was okay to say that.
Probably.
We're gonna describe you as bulging eyes with big thick lips and a big scarf. Well, I have the scarf, but do I really look like that on my face?
Well, hopefully he read the script.
I had to kill him. He called me out.
It's so great. I mean, that whole thing you guys talked about being a woman. They wouldn't send a woman, would they?
Yeah.
No.
That really got my attention.
He laughs. But then later on he goes, "Oh, they might send me a woman because I would never think."
Yeah.
Because I would trust one.
Right. Yeah.
Just like the one that was nice to him. That's
right.
Dead now.
Right.
Yeah.
And when you were showing the posters, the one that we were talking about that had the key and stuff in it, it's really interesting to me that they chose in that one to put her. Like she is in it, and then you just see maybe Peter Lorre in the background. So at first when we were looking at that, I was like, wow, she's front and center.
I think,
like I said, she sort of took over the lead role halfway through, and she became the lead of the movie.
Well, he's gonna run away because he figures out that they're suspecting him, and because he points out that this was like the other murder, and you need to let that other guy out, and then they start thinking, oh, wait a minute, you were at both of these. And she convinces him that he needs to go to the police. So part of it might be that. Part of it's just, that she cares for the guy and she's
Mhm.
I don't know.
It's funny though, because looking at this poster, I think about all the other posters that have like the red dress, the negligee, so a woman who's not even in the movie, and then here's
Yes.
this one where she really is, and
it's the Italian poster, right?
It's just, which is
Oh, good point.
interesting.
Yeah.
And then it but and it I don't know, that it says something to me I can't put my finger on, but
Yeah.
it's just it's really interesting. Yeah, it caught my attention. And she looks great. The yellow and the coat and everything. She looks fantastic. But
Definitely.
yeah.
So we should I wanted to talk about her a little bit. Well, the biggest thing is she married William Wyler, the famous director.
Never heard of it.
I believe he's won 3 Oscars. But once she married him, she didn't do too much more acting.
Well, this is for Wyler.
Yeah.
He won Academy Award for Best Director for Mrs. Minerva, The Best Years of Our Life, and Ben-Hur, all of which also won for Best Picture. He holds a record 12 nominations for the Academy Award of Best Director.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right then.
So I don't think he did any horror movies.
So I don't know.
Probably why. I didn't know his name.
He helped propel the actor Audrey Hepburn, Barbara Streisand, Olivia de Havilland, Betty Davis. So he worked with a lot of
A-listers.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I guess she was known as a very outgoing, very friendly, very likable host with, alongside him, a kind of a partner in her life.
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons I know him is because there's 5 really well-known directors that during World War II worked for the military and making films for the war effort. And he's one of them. There's a series on Netflix called 5 Who Came Back. And I forget off the top of my head, I forget who they are, but it's William Wyler, John Huston was one of them. I believe John Ford was one of them. 5 Came Back. All right.
5 Came Back?
Yep.
Okay.
And it's fun. And then a lot of the films that they mention in this documentary, you can just Google and they're on YouTube.
Oh, cool.
So it's kind of interesting. Some of them made basically recruiting films or propaganda type films because that's what they were asked to do. But some of them went and shot battle films. I think John Ford has a battle film from Iwo Jima that was won some award. Might have even won an Oscar for documentary.
Wow.
But anyway, it's interesting. So I kind of knew about him before, and I was surprised to read that she had married him.
Didn't they have she made like one more film? They had 2 kids and then she quit. Didn't I read that in the trivia?
That sounds right. That sounds right. But I liked her a lot in this. She's somebody I'm watching and I'm going, why haven't I seen more of this person? Why isn't this?
Yeah, she's totally believable, and she just she was good.
Yeah, she kind of started out as his girl Friday in a way, the beginning, and then definitely morphed into a very strong, became the protagonist basically, at the end. So yeah, very good.
And I liked how she was reacting to when the neighbor and the landlady busted into the apartment, and she was like, never mind, I'm going or whatever. She just kind of, I don't know, she didn't like it, but she just kind of it didn't seem to faze her that much. She was a little upset about it, but she just went on, let's go, let's leave or whatever.
Yeah.
So a lot of the people on this movie were the standard bearers for RKO. Some of them not so much, but I guess, in that introduction to the Noir Alley edition that showed Stranger on the Third Floor, they talked about the art direction from Van Ness Polglace, that he was a real impressive, and it's very good. I mean,
I tried to look up more information on him. I didn't have a lot of time, but because I appreciated that introduction that you sent us, the video you're talking about.
Yeah.
And that was the set direction or the set design was nice. It was really, really nice. I would love to see more of his stuff. I know they probably list what movies he did that I could watch, but
he's got 337 credits as art director.
A working man.
Was nominated for 6 Oscars.
Oh, so, did he win any?
No. Citizen Kane.
Oh, well.
Top Hat. Anyway. So, and then I also needed to mention, because I recognized her name. I just don't remember when we talked about her before, but Renee for the wardrobe. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember that either.
I know she did Cleopatra and Cat People. A lot of the crew that worked on this worked on Cat People. And most importantly, I'd say she did Snow White and the Three Stooges. So
yeah,
even though it wasn't with Curly, but still.
Body Heat.
Body Heat, yes. Close to Three Stooges, yes.
Lots of
Red-Eye Porcupine.
Yeah. I'm guessing it was probably, I'm not sure, because Lorre being a method actor, I'm wondering if the scarf was his addition or if it was hers, because he plays with it constantly. It's kind of like a Peter Cushing thing where he always had something in his hand to stay busy. So I wonder if that was her touch or if that was him.
That's interesting.
Oh,
that definitely caught my attention.
She won
right
an
away
Oscar
when I
for
saw
Cleopatra.
that.
Yeah.
Oh, well, beautiful work.
It gave him personality.
Absolutely.
It did, but she did a lot of work for RKO, and so that puts her in conjunction with the Luton films and series.
She did all the costumes for the King Kong movie.
Oh, cool.
No, she didn't.
Oh, she didn't. Oh,
it's an RKO film.
I see.
But actually,
I really reached for that
one. Speaking of King Kong, the makeup artist Mel Burns and the special effects artist Vernon Walker, both of them worked on King Kong and Son of Kong. So there you go. You're safe.
RKO players.
Yep, 100%.
All right. Anything else we want to say about this, or?
Let's see.
Elijah Cook Jr. Awesome.
Yes. Yeah, we can't forget.
He is great in this. I think. This is a bigger part than what he has a lot of times. So.
It was so
really
understated, but good. Yes,
he was.
He seemed really young. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they were calling him boy and everything. So I'm assuming he was very young.
Well, and he and Peter Lorre go on to be in The Maltese Falcon.
Yeah. Lorre was actually in the first 3 films that are considered the film noir. M, this film, and then Maltese.
Yeah, M is kind of the one that's sort of the
proto.
Yeah, I think. Even though it's so many years before.
I don't know. M seemed like just a straight up expressionistic film. I don't know if there was.
Well, that's what makes it. It's the light and dark. It's the bad character. We don't really have a hero in that film. It's like it's weird. It's making a social commentary.
But that's one thing I think is really cool about it too, is this discussion kind of where it comes from, the prototype, and then in them not doing it consciously when they were doing it, and then looking back at it and seeing the influences and how it was kind of taken on and changed, and how these other characters. I think that's really interesting. Because it's like, how did German expressionism get into movies talking about kind of gritty American? I think that there was probably other European ones, but crime things. So, that's cool.
It's a weird melding of the two. I feel like it's just a lot of that German expressionism
Mhm.
and just in this on the backdrop of a crime being
Yeah.
committed or some kind of crime.
Right.
So this is our that's our Elisha Cook Jr. is our Batman connection.
There
yeah.
you go.
Mr. Freeze.
Yep.
2 episodes.
The professor. There was
Elijah.
another.
Nope.
Go
Go ahead. Oh, okay. Sorry. I was going to say for all the horror fans out there who may not know Elijah Cook offhand, he was House on Haunted Hill.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
Sam in Blackula.
Mhm.
He's in Rosemary's
Oh.
Baby.
Yeah. Okay.
He's in
Mhm.
Haunted Palace with
Mhm.
Vincent and God, who else is in that? Vincent, Lon Chaney. Anyway, he's in the Salem's Lot, the TV
Yep.
show.
Oh, what did he play in
He
Salem's
played the
Lot?
character Weasel.
Yeah, he was kind of was he kind of a drunk or something?
I believe so. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
See some of the stuff going on around him.
In the town mostly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then the last two I'll just mention is he was in the original Night Stalker movie.
Yes.
And he was also in the original Star Trek series, which are both amazing.
He's everywhere.
Yeah, I remember that.
He's
I
everywhere.
love him. I love him.
Everywhere you want to be.
Amazing.
Well, I became a fan from Maltese Falcon because he plays Wilmer, this gunny, and Sam Spade gives him the line, the gaudier the crook, or what is it? The cheaper the crook, the gaudier the patter. Because all Elisha Cook is like, I'm going to kill you, you know. That's about all. He just glares at him all the time. Anyway.
Was he one of the old neighbors or one of the in Rosemary's Baby, one of the older people that were involved in the, I don't remember who he was in
Rosemary's
Baby.
It's been so long
Yeah.
since I've.
Yeah.
I love
been a
that
while
movie.
for that.
Yeah, that's very cool. I didn't know that, or I didn't remember it, or
He was in
cool.
Shane.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He was the guy that stood up to Jack Palance, or stood up to the I forget the bad guy's name now, but gets shot down in the street. So John McGuire, who didn't do a whole lot of other lead
Bruce
stuff,
Campbell
was in a movie that we did.
Oh,
Evil
really?
Dead.
Invisible Ghost, The Invisible Ghost.
Oh, wow.
That weird Bela Lugosi movie from 41, and he played twins.
Wow.
It's hard to remember that, but
I've not seen Invisible Ghost since I was a kid.
Well, we did it in Joseph.
Yeah,
Picked it,
did we?
Yeah, we did it. But that could be, that's something too I wanted to mention today is we're coming up on our first episode was published at the end of January 2017, so we're almost at 6 years.
Oh my gosh!
Whoa!
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, time flies.
It is. Should have quit a long time ago.
Well, and I just heard the other night from Doc that H&R's very first episode on H&R was Evil Dead 2013,
and Evil Dead Rise.
They're going to do Evil Dead Rises for their 10th
nice.
anniversary show.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That is cool.
Yeah. It's
So
awesome, except that 10 years has gone by. That's not awesome.
Right.
Out of my control.
That's why I can't remember Invisible Ghost.
Yeah,
I
there you go.
know.
More years go by.
Well, what I it was I need to watch it again because I vaguely remember the story. I remember the butler was very impressive. I remember that Bela Lugosi's.
Yeah.
The writer for this, if the first listed writer, Frank Pardos, had an Oscar nomination for The Snake Pit, but he also wrote The Uninvited, which we did, 1944, the one with Ray Milland and the ghost story in England.
Yeah.
And The House on Telegraph Hill. And the other guy, the guy that is credited as doing the final rewrite, Nathaniel West, there was a quote about him that said, as a novelist, West was decades ahead of the public norm. His characters were the antithesis of anything drawn by Horatio Alger, filled with grotesque themes. Indeed, West made it his conscious goal to be unlike anyone else and to be ahead of his time.
Interesting.
But he died shortly after this in a car accident. So anyway, he was not his, what do I want to say this? He might have been one of his own worst enemies because his lifestyle was pretty
Fast.
Yeah. But when I read this about him, I thought he has to be the one that wrote that dialogue for Peter Lorre. The way that's described, I don't know, maybe not. I think. Oh, one other guy I like to mention, Herb Vigran, was the card playing reporter that won the game. You know, when they
Okay.
Yeah.
393 credits.
Yeah, I recognized him. Yeah.
He is he's everywhere, literally everywhere. And it's weird that he was uncredited because he had a speaking part. I thought that was a little strange, but anyway. All right, that's I think everything I wanted to bring up. Any final comments about Stranger on the Third Floor?
Maybe a little trivia about Roy Webb, the composer.
Oh, sure.
Oh.
He the main theme that he created for this, apparently he reworked it 4 years later into the film Murder My Sweet, another film noir.
Yes.
So that's
yes.
That's my trivia.
Well, he's another guy that, you know, the composers, it amazes me. Composers usually have tons of credits, and I don't recall looking his up, so I'm going to take a quick look here.
I can tell you.
Okay.
For horror fans, well, for one, he worked a lot with Bernard Herrmann, the composer, but he did some music for Return of the Fly, Citizen Kane. He did some various sounds. He did Suspicion for Hitchcock. I Married a Witch with Veronica Lake and Frederick March. Of course, he did Cat People and Curse of the Cat People, like most of the crew here did. He did the movie I Walked with a Zombie. He did the Val Lewton, The Leopard Man. He did Hitchcock's Notorious.
I Walked with the Zombies of Val Lewton as well. Yeah.
Yes. And then the last one I have is he did the music for Mighty Joe Young. So
very cool.
Yeah,
he's got a ton of, and I think it's probably, if I look these all up, they're probably mostly RKO, but Armed Car Robbery is a nice noir. I saw a couple other ones on here. On Dangerous Ground, The Narrow Margin, which was remade with Gene Hackman, like, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, so yeah, 260 some credits for him. So a lot of, I think, studio people in these films. So anyway.
Yeah, a lot of journeymen.
Well, we do have, so I hope people are okay with us doing these. I just love film noir, and when I stumble across, and I love Nicholas Musuraca. So if I can push it into a horror adjacent category, I will.
I'm gonna write a nasty email.
Throw it up
as soon as the show's over.
We'll read it.
He'll probably be the only one we get for this show.
No, I was excited when I saw that Musuraca was the cinematographer, because I remember, you know, I've heard you guys talk about him so many times. So it was really, and seen some of the movies. So it was cool to see him, you know, do this. I was excited for it. And Peter Lorre.
Yeah, he pretty much makes The Seventh Victim as well, I think. That the cinematography in there. Just a second here.
One of the other things that you have in trivia, I thought you were talking about how the artsy visual style, it didn't go over very well when it was first released, and one critic called it pretentious, and they thought that it was maybe a factor in the film losing money for RKO.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem pretentious to me.
No, not at all.
And it's kind of funny how, I don't know if that was just the time, maybe, you know, like
maybe
anything that was, you know, like maybe, you know, something that was maybe a little bit different. They were didn't like or
Mhm.
something. I don't know, but it just doesn't seem at all pretentious to me.
No. No.
Well, it might have been with World War II looming.
Maybe that's a
Because
good point.
It goes
That's a
on
good
to
point,
say
yeah.
it was clearly influenced by European
Right.
filmmaking of the period,
Right.
specifically German.
Right.
So
Right. Well, and I
With
think
the,
Backlash, maybe.
the nightmare sequence and the
Mhm.
noirish lighting and everything
Mhm.
like that could have made it
Mhm.
seem like that to
Right.
folks back then.
Yeah.
all right. Couple of feedbacks here. 2, 3 feedbacks.
Don't read mine.
I
There's a lot of
I've
blackout here
I've
on
since
on
forgiven
yours.
you.
Okay.
so who wants to do Quatermass in the Pit?
I'll do
You
it.
want to take that? Yeah.
Sure. Episode 93, Quartermass in the Pit. Vic Abramov.
Ooh, he said Quartermass.
I did that on purpose.
I figured.
Al's gonna be so mad.
Yeah. Quartermass in the Pit.
Quartermass.
So Quatermass and the Pit. Vic Abramov. I hope I said that right, Vic. Watched the other day. I wonder if that was an invasion or just aliens escaping to Earth in one ship. Never could figure that question out for myself.
Wasn't there a lot of attacking and killing?
I
and
thought it was an
mental
invasion.
stuff? Yeah.
I
Yeah,
went
it
with
seemed like an
invasion.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Because
they may have
That's
just
the
been
official word.
defending. It's, you know.
All the flashback scenes are like legions of these guys marching. You know,
Yeah.
like,
Mhm.
and I guess it could have been they were, marching to their evacuation.
Well, there was, they were leaving their world because it was, becoming unlivable and
Mhm.
stuff. So there was that part of it.
Yeah, like
Oh.
War of the Worlds.
Yeah.
They left their world, came to ours.
I
Made a
will
big boo boo.
Damn right.
got a cold and
Down you go.
all right. Here's a couple for The Creature Walks Among Us. Daphne, you want to take
Sure.
the first one?
I'll take Mikey Z. Don McCowan does a great job indicating character injecting maybe character into a landlocked gill man. More human soap opera. Great podcast. Looking forward to a classic 2023.
There was some definite soap opera going on and the
Yeah, big time.
people on the ship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're looking forward to 2023.
I'm a caveman and you're my wife.
Yes.
There was a lot of that going on.
Hey, don't let him treat you like he's a caveman. Come with me.
Let me treat you
I'm
like
more
a
of a
Yeah.
caveman.
Come to my cave.
Yeah. Give us a kiss. And then one from Evil Genius on The Creature Walks Among Us. Chad?
Want me to take it?
Well, I'd
Oh,
read
Oh,
it.
you
but
can't
I'm-
see him.
You
That's
can't
right.
read it.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I
Dirk.
keep forgetting.
Okay.
that.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Evil Genius. I hope Jeff's internet lets him see this. Sounds to me like maybe the modem is starting to go. If you're using a Wi-Fi router, the modem and router might be losing sync and then, Jeff, resyncing. Then again, Jeff, there could be an issue with signal loss along the wire from the pole to the house.
Welcome to Tech Talk.
I'm constantly losing signal from my pole. Sorry, let me go back.
Sounds like a personal problem.
I'm oversharing. If it's been a while, if it's been going on for a while, Jeff, you might want to call the tech in. Oh yeah, the movie. I don't know much about swimming caps, but the only place I see them nowadays is in competitive swimming.
That's a good point.
And the final point that he would like to make is talking about noir. When I saw the German poster, I was thinking that reminds me of a poster from a noir film.
Yeah.
I love these in-depth.
Thank you, Evil Genius. Truly
I like
evil.
it when
Yes.
evil puts all that thought into
Yeah.
that.
Sometimes the evil needs to be subtle, you know.
Yeah.
Well, when I first read that, I thought he was trying to be helpful, but after the way you read that, Dirk, I'm thinking it was
Not how I took it.
Yeah, it's all in the delivery.
Keep it up, evil.
Yeah. Whatever you do, keep it up. Don't get your signal lost on your pole to the house.
Don't make the same mistakes I made.
God, no.
And
Don't
there's
do
the
it.
German poster right there
Mm-hmm.
on the bottom.
I
Oh,
love
yeah.
that bottom poster. That's cool.
Yeah.
I had never
That
seen
was
that
very
before.
Mm-hmm.
Almost looks like he's slam dancing a little bit.
Those pants at the top, man. I just
You just love
I
those
would-
pants.
Those are
Yeah.
fierce.
Yeah.
MC Hammer before MC Hammer existed.
Stop. Hammer time.
All righty. That's it, Groove Believers.
Wait, can I ask you guys just like last time I was on, can I ask you guys a piece of trivia? My trivia this time will come in the question of a Peter Lorre question.
Okay.
Peter Lorre was the mascot for what breakfast cereal?
Oh my god.
Googlios.
Googlios?
That's not right.
Nope. He was
Oh.
Blueberries. Jeff
Blueberry,
wins.
okay.
Really?
Blueberry.
Wow.
It was the
He did
blueberry
talk
cereal.
like Peter Lorre, didn't he? He did talk
Yep.
like Peter Lorre.
Yep. So,
Nice.
all right.
I
Hooray.
win.
Good. That's,
You
that's
win.
nice.
Yeah, that was
Soon I
good.
will have a better connection and
To
less
your
signal
pole.
loss from my pole.
Once you receive a better signal to your pole.
All right.
Paul.
Poor Jeff. So
That's it for this episode. But every 2
Yeah, he
weeks we'll
just
be
smoothed
focusing
right
on
over that.
a specific
even
film
burn
between 1920 and 1969. Next up is one chosen by
You should
Daphne.
be a cake
What are we
decorator
doing,
because you just
Daphne?
smooth icing right over that.
Right
whole
over
topic
it.
Right there.
I didn't even know.
Okay. I'm going to have
Next
to
film
rewind.
chosen by Daphne.
Daphne.
Daphne. What film
Is
did
it-
you choose next, Daphne?
Diabolique. Or Diabolique. Mhm.
Ooh, that's French for diabolic.
Whoa.
I think so, yeah. Diabolic.
That's a good
Diabolique.
How do you
movie.
pronounce
That's a good one,
Furby
man.
in
Biological.
French?
Mhm.
How do you
Yeah,
pronounce
that's a good one.
Furby in French?
Le
I don't know.
Ferbe.
I think we should do yes, La Ferbe. We should
Lay
do a Furby
Furby.
adjacent.
I thought you were going to
Lay
pick this
Furby.
last.
Lay Furby.
Lay Furby.
Lay Furby. Yeah, I think I was gonna pick it last time, and then we
switched over to
we switched
guest.
stuff around. Yeah.
Jeff's internet was out.
Yeah.
Poll problems.
I actually
Yeah,
said,
those rails are way back there now. We jumped over those a while
I
back.
emailed Evil Genius a completely
still got-
spurious
still-
reply
it's
to
still
that
good.
about all the things I've tried. So I feel really stupid now.
It's like
Thanks for
Train
your
to Busan.
concern,
They're
Evil.
still back there following.
Yeah. All right, guys. Dirk, thanks so much,
Absolute
Yeah,
pleasure,
yeah.
guys. So
Good to
much
see you,
fun
man.
again. So good to see you guys
Awesome.
too.
especially on the short notice, and appreciate the time and the effort.
My
Put it
pleasure.
to-
Absolutely. I greatly appreciate the effort you guys do. You guys keep me entertained so much every week. You're always in my ear holes with your
Yay!
pole and your Furbies and your poles and your I don't even know what else. Christmas decorations. Anyway.
Stupid annoying laugh that's constantly in the background.
I'm gonna
Not
start,
at all. Not at all.
No.
Daphne's
The,
laugh is a drinking game.
Fantastic.
Yes.
I'm going to start resurrecting Princess Dragon Mom. This keeps
Oh,
up.
that's a good one.
It's never gone away in my heart.
All right,
It has an.
we
it
got to
has
go,
in mind.
folks.
All right.
I appreciate the time and have a great one. Our first classic era recorded in 2023.
2023.
23.
Whoa!
Yay! That's awesome.
Happy New Year, you jerk.
Yes.
Check us out.
All right.
You filthy animals.
Catch us again in 2 weeks for another great horror movie of the classic era as only Decades of Horror can do it. Say good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.